Hello, if you have landed on this video, that means it is dance card time. So I'm happy you're here because I am going to walk you through the whole process. So this is a very important step one. Even if you are someone who has no idea what a dance card is, or you are renewing your dance card for the 14th year in a row, please start with this video because we want to make sure that full applications are getting to the registrar. We don't want to see any errors. You don't want to have a bunch of back and forth with the registrar or with your teacher. So I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. As someone who was the registrar for 2 years, let me tell you that dance card applications are a struggle. We haven't quite perfected it yet. So here I am to help you. I'm going to go through the ScotDance New Brunswick whole process. If you're in a different province, it is similar, but there might be a couple differences, which I will highlight for you. So without further ado, let's get started. We have a few topics to cover. So there will be for new dancers. So if you have no idea what a dance card is, this is for you. This will be for change of status. So if you're changing categories mid-year, this is going to be a great reference point. If you have lost your card, this is where you're going to start. If you are an annual renewal, like you've done this before, you have a dance card, you just need to get a new one for the new year. I'm going to go through all of that. And if you're a professional dancer, so if you are someone who is a dance teacher and a still competitive dancer, we're going to go through that as well. So this is what a dance card looks like. They do come in different colors depending on what level you're in. So this is a premier card. Premier is the highest level you can get into. I will have a whole separate video on that. So this is me venturing into YouTube, I guess. So stay tuned for more videos. I think that's what the influencers say. But you are going to move through categories. There's different colors. We will go through that in more detail later. So again, this is a premier card. If you get a card that's a different color because you are not in the highest level, that is why. So do not panic. But this is basically what a dance card will look like. There we go, focus. Just differences in color. And you might be thinking, why do we need this? So it's an identification card, first of all, so that we can identify you when you go to a competition. You'll present this when you go to get your dance number, just to show that you are currently a registered dancer. So you'll see that I here have a 2022 sticker. I was registered in 2022. And the reason we do this, so on the form, there will be a section that your teacher has to sign. And this just makes sure, so teachers have a very similar process. If you are a fully certified, qualified Highland dance instructor, you are required to register with ScotDance Canada as well. So these dance cards and having your teacher sign off is just making sure that you are going to a qualified instructor. There's a bunch of requirements when we apply in terms of like meeting criminal record checks. So we are keeping all the dancers safe. And then we're also making sure that you're getting high quality lessons from people who are actually certified, have done their exams, all of that great stuff. So it's a really good system to manage that. If you are familiar with dance cards and you just need a refresher on the process, just skip forward to your section of the video. So again, dance card like an ID card, and it's actually a really cute way. So if you get back one of your old dance cards, it will be destroyed so that you can no longer use it, but like you can see yourself grow up in dance cards. It's wonderful. Step one of this entire process, you are going to get a dancer application form or like registration package from your teacher. It's possible that you might get it from the registrar directly, but that's very unlikely because they don't have everyone's emails. So you're likely going to get this from your dance teacher, or they might send you directly to your provincial affiliates website. So ScotDance New Brunswick does have their own website, and we do host the forms up on that website. So step one will be downloading the registration package. You are going to print off the package and we are going to go through it. So sheet one, let me get this to focus here. Okay, so sheet one, we have all of your information. So you're going to have to fill out your name, your address, your city, postal code, email, home phone number. There's going to be a spot that says, just please also ignore my nail polish, it is horrendous, current RSO-BHD registration number. Because you don't have a dance card already, and this is your first time, you do not have one of these, so that's going to be left blank. You're also going to include your date of birth because some of the categories depend on age. I'm going to go through that. Next section is your teacher's section. So sections that you can fill out for your teacher are their name, their phone number, their examining body and number, their SDC number, and their email. If you don't know all their numbers, either they might say they'll fill this out for you, or you can ask them for these numbers and fill it out on their behalf. The only thing you cannot fill out for them, obviously, is their signature. Your teacher, at least at our studio, your teacher will not sign this unless you come with a full, completely done registration package. So you will not be sent home with a signed form if you have not done all of these steps. So very important. We don't want to go back and forth. Like, we don't want to tell your 7-year-old, okay, you have everything, but you're forgetting this. And then a 7-year-old then has to remember to go tell them. Like, we don't want to do that. So make sure it's a complete form. That's why this video exists now. Okay, so that is the first little section. You're going to see the registration fee information. The fee that you're paying is the total amount that is in blue. You can see that it's broken down underneath. A lot of times people will do a check for the wrong amount. So you need that total amount. They're just giving you the breakdown so that you have an idea of what is being charged where. So in the case of ScotDance New Brunswick, if you're in a different province, these numbers could vary slightly. $28.25 is the ScotDance Canada fee, and then a $5 ScotDance New Brunswick ScotDance New Brunswick Dancer Initiative levy is charged, and that's basically just a donation from you, and it goes into the pot for all the dancers of the province. And we at ScotDance New Brunswick have various initiatives that we host for dancers, and it goes to support that. So that is a bit about the information of your fees, and then they have like even a further breakdown beyond that. So if you issue a check that bounces, it also says there's a $20 fee that's charged. So that's just some payment information. Okay, so we are going to get down into the next section. So these check boxes here, since you are someone who does not have a card, you're going to check off new registration. So you're going to be a brand new registration. You're going to check in that little box here. Then we get down to the next section. So 2 options. If you're a new dancer, you are either a primary. So if you are age 4, 5, or 6, you are going to check off the primary box. If you are 7 or older, so you can be any age, you are going to register for beginner. So you're going to check off, this box here. Okay, so you're either primary or beginner for one of these new cards. There would be very few scenarios. Actually, never. You're never going to skip that many categories. All right. So you are either primary or beginner. Again, I'm going to go through all the categories in a different video. So just know that you're going to check off those 2. Where it says professional dancer number, membership number, you're going to leave that blank. And then the lost card section, you're also going to leave that blank because you haven't lost a card because you do not own one. And then lastly, there's a little box that ScotDance New Brunswick has added here. You can check that off if you would like to receive newsletters, information on ScotDance New Brunswick events. I would check off yes, because ScotDance New Brunswick is the first one to know about the competitions, obviously, and about the registered workshops and things like that. So they will keep you in the loop and your email will be added to that. There's not, like, I'm currently the president of ScotDance New Brunswick. In the year 2022, almost 2023, we're not like gonna send you a bunch of spam information because we're volunteers and we don't have the time to do that. So it's purely going to be emails about upcoming competitions and events that will benefit you. Okay, and then lastly, you have to check off these 2 boxes here that said that you have read the Code of Ethics, which means you should also read the Code of Ethics. Very important. And then the very last thing on this sheet at the bottom, you're going to fill in the dancer's name and you're going to sign the bottom. At the very bottom, this is office use only. You're not going to fill that section out. Okay, so that is our form. So you have completed this entire form except for your teacher's signature, and then we're moving on. Page 2, you will see that in yellow, it says these following pages are for information purposes only. Do not mail this to the registrar. Do people mail this to the registrar? Yes, they do. So take it out, and you're also going to take this out. These pages are gone, but they're for your information. So if you want to read it through, we go over the Code of Ethics, teachers, judges. It even has a checklist for what's required for your application, which we're going to go over today. but I get it. Sometimes it's still confusing, even with the checklist. So here we are. Okay, next thing that you need is a copy of your dancer's birth certificate. Pretty straightforward. Do not give us the actual birth certificate. Just either scan it, take a photo and print it. Make sure it's included in the package. Next thing, second thing, I guess third thing kind of, a picture. So as a registrar, it was my pet peeve when people did not do the photo to the correct size, because look, we're already hand making these cards, okay? Hug your local registrar when you see them next. They're hand making these cards. So they're already hand making them, and if you have to cut every single photo more, and if it's not to the correct size, like you can just see where the time adds up. And like they're making hundreds of cards, especially bigger provinces. Like they are making hundreds of cards. So let's do them a favor and just make sure it's cut to the correct size. What size is that, you may ask? Well, good thing is that on page 3, we have a little checklist and it has the measurements for you. So either 3 by 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches by 1.25 inches. Okay, that's what you're gonna cut it to. Make sure that it is like a colored, focus. This makes me feel like a real influencer. There we go. So make sure it is cut. It's a colored photo of you. You can get these, like, I think maybe at the photo booth. I don't know. Just somewhere. Print off a photo, cut it out. It's good. Okay, the next thing that you're going to do is check or money order for the amount of $33.25. Again, this video was made in 2022 for the 2023 application. Always check the amount that is on the form, and it is the amount in blue. It is not one of the detailed amounts underneath. So $33.25 for this application. That does get updated and changed though. Check or money order only. If you ask, can I do cash? The answer is no. So do not do cash, okay? We have check or money order only. Depending on your province might accept things like e-transfer. They would have the details in your application. Okay, and very last thing. This is the thing that is most forgotten, I would say. You have to have a way to get your dance card back to you. And what better way to do that than getting yourself an envelope? No, this is not even a suggestion. This is a requirement. So you're going to grab an envelope. You're going to put your mailing address here and you're going to stamp it. If there is no stamp, it cannot go in the mail to you. And people do not include the stamp all the time. And then, like, how are we going to mail it? You know? So then the registrar is stuck and then they have to email your teacher and then it's back and forth and then you got to mail a stamp. Like, it's just stamp it. Okay? Stamp. Okay. So, quick recap. Form is number 1. Copy of your birth certificate is number 2. A photo cut to the correct size is number 3. A check or money order for the amount here is number 4. And then lastly, you're going to have a self-addressed stamped envelope, and that's how you're going to get your card back to you. So you're going to take all of that information that we just put together, you're going to put it in another envelope, and this envelope is going to have the address for the registrar here. I just showed that like really quickly because I feel like we don't need the address to be like on YouTube in great detail. So you're going to put that address here, you'll put your return address and you'll stamp it. And then this is going to be mailed to the registrar. This is how they're going to get your dance card application. The second envelope is going to be how you get your dance card back. You're going to put this all in the envelope, not seal it yet, and you're going to bring this to your dance teacher. And then your dance teacher is going to go through everything. They're going to make sure that you've checked all the boxes and they are going to sign it. Once they sign it, you'll put it in the mail. 2 things that I would like to mention. 1, it is a 2-week processing time for dance cards. So again, these are handmade and there are, over 100 dancers in New Brunswick, many more than that in other provinces. So these cannot just be like, they're not just being printed, So it's going to take some time for this to arrive to the registrar. When it arrives to the registrar, they have 2 full weeks to make it, and then it has to be mailed back to you. So the total turnaround time is going to take over 2 weeks. So do not do a dance card application the weekend before a competition, okay? we got to be a little more proactive than that. And your dance teacher will try and like manage that as well. But if you know that you're going to be doing a competition, you need to be thinking ahead if you don't have a card. The second thing I wanted to mention is at our studio, your teacher, when we do one big application, like we're going to be getting these all together in time for January, and we're actually going to submit on everyone's behalf. So you can drop the envelope off and we're just going to put it in one big envelope and mail that to the registrar. But if you're doing a dancer registration form mid-year, you're going to be mailing it yourself. It's just when everyone is mailing them all together. At the very start of the year, we just do one big package, but otherwise people are mailing on their own. So either way, get your package together, bring it to the studio. That would mean that the one for the registrar does not need a stamp on it, but otherwise it does need a stamp on it, or else your teacher will not sign it. So like, I hesitate saying this, just make sure that you have all the stuff. Okay, so the next process that we're going to go through is the annual renewal. So this is if you already have a dance card and you are renewing for the year, you're going to have an appropriate year listed sticker added to your card. So this is for pre-premier and premier. If you are pre-premier but you don't know what that is, it is either primary, beginner, novice, or intermediate. That means you either have a green card for primary, a blue card for beginner, a yellow card for novice, and a pink card for intermediate. So if you have any of those 4 colored cards, I'm going to go through that, and then I'll go through the premier process. It's like just a little bit different. It's basically the same, but I'll tell you about that secondly. Okay, so first thing for our pre-premier dancers. So you're going to get a dancer card application form from your teacher. They'll mail it to you, or they'll email it to you, or they will direct you to the ScotDance New Brunswick website or ScotDance wherever website. You're going to print off the form. It's going to come with 3 pages. You're going to take the first sheet, and you're going to not throw away, because you should read these, but you're not going to include these when you mail things to the registrar. These are for your information only, as you can see from the top. A surprising amount of people love to mail this to the registrar, but do not. Okay, so first form is your dancer registration. So you're going to go and add in your name. I know you've already done this before since you are a renewing dancer. So just a very quick refresh. Fill in all your information. You're going to include your current RSOBHD number, which is the number that is on the card. And then you're going to fill in your date of birth, all that information, all of your teacher's information except their signature. You're going to go down to the check boxes here, and you're going to check off annual renewal, and then you're going to pick your appropriate category that you are registering for. So that's either primary all the way through to premier. For premiers, I will talk about, or not even necessarily just premiers, but I'll talk about the professional dancer membership at the end. And then lost card. So this can be left blank unless you actually lost your card. So if you lost your card the year before, that's fine. You just have to pay a $10 fee. So only circle that if you have lost the card from the year prior. And then you can check off the box. We just added this year for ScotDance New Brunswick newsletters and promotional material. It's not really anything promotional. It's literally just going to be telling you when competition registrations are open, or workshops or things are coming up and happening in the province. And then you're going to read and check off that you read the code of ethics, both the dancer and the parent. You're going to sign here. Include the name and then signature at the bottom, and then the very bottom is for office use only. So that is step 1. This is for all categories, whether you're premier or not, premier or pre-premier. So you're going to fill that out. Then you are going to take your dancer registration card that you have from the year before, and you're going to include that in your application. Then you are going to, again, this is for pre-premier. So if you're premier, you're next. So pre-premier only, you do not have to include a photo for this year because you are only getting a new sticker. And that is because you have either stamps on the back of your card, or you're a primary who you just keep your dancer card until you turn 7 and move into beginner. So we're just going to put a new sticker on. We don't need a new photo of you unless it's a change of status, but change of status is later in the video. So don't listen if you are a change of status. Skip forward to your section. So you're going to include your dancer card. No picture for pre-premier dancers needed. You're going to write a check or money order. No, you cannot do cash for the amount in blue, not the amount underneath. That is a breakdown of what your fees are. The amount in blue is the total. So for this upcoming year, it's $33.25. This definitely will change in future years, so make sure you read the total amount. And then you are going to address an envelope and include a stamp on it. If there's no stamp on your envelope, we have no way to mail this back to you. So make sure you have all of that together, and then you're going to put that all together. You're going to have 2 envelopes. This one is going to have your address and a stamp. This one is going to have the registrar's address and a stamp, and their address is on this form. So quick recap: if you are primary, beginner, novice, intermediate, you have a form, your card, a self-addressed envelope, and a check or money order, all put together in one envelope and brought to your teacher at the studio for signature. They will not sign it if it's not complete. Okay, now premiers, you're going to have all the same things, but you do need to include a photo because you're getting a brand new card every single year. So not just a sticker, you're getting a new card so that way you don't have a premier card from the age of 7 and you're now 18. You know, we need to see who you are, kind of like renewing a driver's license, I guess. So you're going to include your form, your card. Premiers are including a photo cut to size. Read the size. It's 3 by 4 centimeters or 1.5 by 1.25 inches. Do not make the registrar cut it for you. Do not make me cut it for you. Cut your photo. And then so form, card, photo, check or money order, all in a self-addressed stamped envelope, and then all in an envelope that will head to the registrar. As I mentioned in the first section of this video, very important to know that these dance card, the processing time is 2 weeks, and that is 2 weeks from the time that the registrar has it. So you're going to mail this to the registrar. They are going to receive it. They have 2 weeks from the time they receive it until they send it out. So, and then it has to be mailed back to you. So this whole processing time is going to be more than 2 weeks. Do not leave this until the last minute. If you're doing your application and it's January, I will take it at the studio. We're going to collect them all and mail them together. If it's later in the year, you're mailing this on your own. So that is everything for our annual renewals. Okay, now I just wanted to quickly go over an annual renewal for a professional dancer. So this is someone who is a dance teacher and still competing. So you're going to have your dance card, you're going to have your form, you're going to have a picture if you're a premier dancer, so same process as whether you're pre-premier or premier. And then you're going to have a copy of the email confirming your professional membership and your membership number. So if you took your exams with the SDTA, you should receive an email from them that says, "Hi, you are now a member, here's your membership number," and that is what you're going to include in your application. And then you will have a self-addressed stamped envelope, just like everyone else. So there's two sides to this. You will have your application that happens as a professional member with ScotDance Canada, and then you'll have your SDNB dance card application. So they kind of go hand in hand, and the registrar will keep track of that. Like when you apply as a professional, which happens first, they'll kind of correlate the two together. So just make sure the only difference is that you have to print off a copy of what your professional membership number is. Okay, so that is for our annual renewals for pre-premier and premier. The next thing that we're going to go through is change of status. So this is if you are in any of the categories, whether that's primary, beginner, novice, or intermediate, and you're moving up a category. Whole separate video needed on how you move up through the categories, but if you are someone who, well, I'll go through this very briefly. Primary, if you turn 7, you are now beginner. So you are a change of status because you are changing from a green card to a blue card. If you are in beginner, you have spaces for stamps on the back. If you have 6 stamps, you're moving up into novice, or if it has been a year since your first stamp, you can also move up regardless of whether you have 6 stamps or not. It's whichever one comes later. And then same with novice, you'll have stamps. Same with intermediate, you'll have stamps. So if you are changing status, if you filled up your card, you're moving up a level, or if your teacher has advised that you are moving up a level, even if your card's not full, this video is for you, or this section of the video is for you. So if you are in, I'll go through all of them. So first of all, you're going to print off the form. You're only going to include the first sheet. You're going to fill out all of your information. You're going to fill out all of the teacher information except the teacher signature. You are going to select at the bottom here, change of status. And then you're going to check off what status you're moving into. So if you are primary and so if you have a green card and you've turned 7, you're going to check off beginner. If you are a beginner, you have a blue card and you've filled it up, you're going to check off novice. If you are novice, you have a yellow card and you filled it up, you're going to check off intermediate. If you're intermediate, you have a pink card, you filled it up, you're going to check off premier. Premiers do not have change of statuses because this is like the last colored card that you're ever going to get. Okay, so you've checked off what category you're moving into. If you lost your card, you're going to be paying a fee, and you're just going to circle off what category you lost it for. Check off whether you would like to receive emails from ScotDance New Brunswick yet again. Read the code of ethics and sign. You take your form, that is all going to be filled out. You're going to take your current card that you have from the year or the current year, but that is either full or you have aged out of primary. So you're going to take that card, you're going to include it, you're going to cut a photo. I've said the size in all the other sections, but if you're only watching this section, I'm going to repeat. You must cut your photo to the correct size. That saves the registrar cutting hundreds of photos. These are already handmade cards. It takes a while, so let's not make them cut pictures. So the required size is 3 by 4 centimeters or 1.5 by 1.25 inches. And you might think they can just cut it. Yeah, they can, but the time adds up, and they're volunteering. So let's make their life easier. So we're going to cut it to size. So we have form, card, photo. When you're doing a change of status, you do not need to pay if you have already, especially if it's in the same year. So if you are changing status and it's within the year you've already paid one time, then you do not need to pay again. If you're doing a change of status and your annual renewal at the same time, then you are going to have to pay. But for example, say I was a beginner dancer in 2023 and I paid and I did my registration form, and then in June of 2023 I had gotten all my stamps and I'm ready to move up to novice, I'm not paying again. You just pay once for the whole year. So you may or may not need to include a form of payment. Probably not. Most change of statuses are mid-year. So change of status, form, card, picture, and you're going to do your self-addressed stamped envelope. So very important, you're going to put your address. This is how you're going to get your card back, and it has to have a stamp on it. A lot of people forget the stamp, a lot of people, or they forget the envelope entirely, but you cannot get your card back if you have not included an envelope. So you're going to put all of this together, form, card, photo, all into an envelope, and then you're going to and self-addressed stamped envelope, and you're going to put all of that in an envelope, and that is going to be addressed to the registrar, and that address is on your page here. So you're going to make it out to them with the stamp, and then you're going to mail that to the registrar. You're going to bring this to your teacher, they're going to sign it, then you're going to mail it to the registrar. So that is your change of status. It is a 2-week processing time for cards. So if you are competing soon, you probably won't get it back in time. So we have to be mindful of that. One thing that will happen is once you've filled up your card in beginner, the competition should give you a temporary card, and you can take that temporary card to the next competition, especially if you have 2 back-to-back competitions. So that is how we can kind of mitigate that issue, because you won't get your card back in a week. So take the card, take the temporary card if it's your last stamp, and then you're going to take it to the next competition. They'll put stamps on that new card, and then you'll include the temporary card in your application as well. And this will get you through a few competitions until there's a little bit of a lull and you can actually submit the form and you have enough time. So that is another thing to include. If you are someone who has a bunch of competitions in a row, if you have a temporary card, you're going to include that here. basically the temporary card acts as the next category up. So if you're in beginner and you're given a temporary card, that will act as like your novice card. And then that way, when the registrar is making your novice card, they'll be like, oh, okay, they got a stamp at the competition, so I'm going to stamp it on their behalf. So that just helps with that, because again, 2-week processing time, make sure you give the registrar enough time. That includes time to mail. They get it for 2 full weeks at their house, and then they have to mail it back to you. So that whole time is probably closer to like 3.5 weeks. Okay, so that is everything for the change of status. Now, the last thing we have to go through is a lost card. So sometimes things happen, we misplace our cards, but you do need to have a card and you have to bring it to every competition. So you're going to have to do a separate application. So you're going to print off the form and you're going to fill out all the information. So you're going to include all of your information at the top. You're going to include all of your teacher's information except for their signature. Then you're going to come down to the bottom here and you're going to check off lost card. And you're going to check off the category that you lost your card for. So that just depends on whether you're primary, beginner, novice, intermediate, or premier. So you'll check that off. And then you're going to circle the card that was lost. So if you lost a beginner card, you'll circle that one. It is a $10 fee for a lost card because we do have to make you a new one. And then you're going to check off whether you would like to receive information from ScotDance New Brunswick. That is just going to be competition and workshop information. And you'll check off your code of ethics yet again, and then sign the bottom, leave the bottom for office use only. I'm just going to keep reiterating the same things because you might only be watching one section of this video. These sheets that get printed off in the registration package do not need to be included when you mail it. You can see that here at the top. It says, for information purposes only, do not mail to the registrar. And people love to mail it to the registrar, so we're not going to include these sheets. This sheet only. And then the only thing that you need when you lose a card is, since you do not have your old card, you're going to include a photo, which is for the correct size, sorry. So 3 by 4 centimeters or 1.5 by 1.25 inches. You're going to cut it to the correct size. We're not going to make the registrar do a bunch of extra work. You're going to do, so you won't need to pay for the annual registration fee. So just forget about that fee, but you are going to have to pay the lost card fee, which is $10. So you're going to do a check or money order for $10. No, it cannot be cash. And you're going to put all of that together. A self-addressed stamped envelope needs to be stamped so we can send your card back to you. That is going to have the registrar's address, which is on this sheet, and a stamp. So form, envelope, new photo, and you're going to put all of that in an envelope and you're going to bring that to your teacher for signature, and then you're going to stick that in the mail. Okay, and that is a wrap on the rundown of our dancer card registration process. And yeah, so this is just our process to make sure that you're taking from a qualified instructor. You have a teacher who has done their exams and is registered with ScotDance Canada. Very important. And we have a way to identify you at competitions, and you have ways to move up through the categories. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. You can always use this as a reference. Always a great place to start. Again, even if you're doing a annual renewal, let me tell you, people mess up their annual renewals all the time, even if they've been applying for dance cards for like 10 years. It's always good to just kind of go through the list, use this video as a resource. So be sure to like our video if this was helpful for you, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a memo from our studio or lots of tips helping you navigate the world of Highland dancing. So we will see you next time, and thank you so much for tuning in.